And welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to another live Manchester United news show. More news coming out on the takeover. I know what you're thinking. It's annoying. We get this, that, this, that, this, that, this, that, this, that, this, that on the takeover. 1 minute the Glazers stay, next minute Qatar's close. 1 minute Glazers stay, next minute Qatar's close. We're going to debunk all of, well, not debunk, but debrief all of that. Another good source saying that Qatar, they think they're getting it. They're confident they're getting it. You know, Sheikh Jassim believes his offer will be accepted. Sheikh Jassim's going around to his people saying, look, I'm very confident my offer's going to be accepted for United. I ain't listening to that Carlisle Elliott Group crap. I'm Sheikh Jassim. We're the Man Utd Foundation. Our offer's going to be accepted. Bish, bash, bosh. It's basically what he's saying on his side. But the Glazers are thinking, oh, we need our 6 billion. We need our 6 billion. The 5.9999 billion's not enough for me. I'm a greedy idiot. You know, give me my 6 billion. Let's go and link these stories about this person coming out and this person coming out and this person coming out. And we're going to want this minority state. La-di-la-di-la-di-la-di-la. To try and trick Qatar and Sir Jim into putting the 6 billion in. That's how I would completely describe the takeover, in my opinion. Of course, you know, I could be wrong. I just know that the Glazers are greedy. I know Qatar have a lot of money. They've gone to the effort of making this 9-2 foundation. So to do all that effort and engage in all these takeover talks, and for the Glazers and the Rain Group to extend bids for Qatar and go into a third round of bidding, despite being so-called happy with all these minority offers, makes me believe minority offers a game, because the Glazers want more money. And I think, as someone said, you know, why would the Glazers accept 2.5 billion to stay at the club, but they have to invest that 2.5 billion back into the club, which they don't do, invest into the club? Or why would they turn down 5.5-6 billion pure profit? Pure profit. I'm not even drunk this live stream, and you know, my voice is like, ooh. But anyway, after the take, we will get into the takeover news. We will debunk that. We will debrief that. It's yeah, I know it's annoying, but look, 10 days until the bids, 10 days to the deadline, 10 days of just dragging on stories here and there before we get some official breaking news. But again, this story coming out today basically saying, don't listen to these reports about the Carlisle and Elliott Group. Glazers are full of crap. It's basically what we're saying. We've also got some transfer news on Mac Allister to United. Now, United have been heavily linked to Alexis Mac Allister. So we will dive into transfer news on that. We've got Romano. We've got all these tier 1 sources talking about Alexis Mac Allister. So there really is definitely something in that story. I mean, we're linked to a couple other players, but I don't think there's much in that story. And reportedly, Harry Kane wants United as well, was a story coming about. And then United also looking at Victor Osimhen. So we will cover some news. As well as our rivals dropping points. And I kind of want to look at the position that Manchester United are at in a second. Arsenal bottling it, and I actually want Arsenal to win the league now. As insufferable as their fans are, as fun as it would be for them to finish second with no trophies and us to finish third with a trophy, because then we can say we had a better season. And like, there's not really many Man City fans around for them to be as insufferable. Cannot have Man City potentially winning the treble or equaling our 3-in-a-row Premier League thing in one season. I just cannot deal with that. I need Arsenal to win the league, or we need to just do a fucking miracle at least and beat City in the FA Cup final, which means you have to beat Brighton in the semi-final without like any centre-backs, although Brighton have people missing. Yeah, it is. Why is Sandra Martinez and Varane injured? No Sandra Martinez, no Varane, no Shaw, no Martinez, no Rashford, no Garnacho, no Sabitzer. What a freaking time. Tell you what, I'm literally waiting. I'm generally, and I know it sounds crazy, I'm generally waiting to open up Twitter and get a news story going, Martial's injured. Generally. Because, you know, I wouldn't be shocked, but feels cursed. Arsenal lost the title. Well, they have to win at the Etihad to win the title, so they can still win it as well. The Sheikh has like a net worth, apparently like $1 billion. Must be getting state funds, but the Qatar bid is not a bank. PSG got Qatar and not all rosy. The money alone doesn't mean a win for United. It's a little bit more difficult because they're trying to enter as Sheikh Jassim, not like an organisation, just so to avoid some legal trouble, but he will be funded by Al Thani and all of that as well. Proper striker is the most important thing. Kane, Haaland, Salah's not a striker. Mbappe is not really a striker. Benzema and Martial has the odd one out in there. It says Scott, rebuild. I mean, we do need a proper striker. Martial can be back up, but we need a proper striker. I do want to dive into some of the comments as well. None of the equations with the Glazers staying make sense, and that, I'm sure that's true. And I'm tired of these journalists. Same journalists will report minority investment more tomorrow. No journalist integrity. And you're true. I think the only journalist that's really got some level of integrity in this takeover is probably Mike Keegan, because you got Sky Kavanagh I tell you, he changes his story every day. 1 minute he says it's very, very likely that, you know, Qatar are going to be the next owners of Man United. Then the next day he's going, oh, it's looking increasingly likely the Glazers will stay. There's a lot of journalists like Sky Kavanagh, just on every single story is a different thing every day. As Alex said, they've got no integrity. Mike Keegan's the only one that seems to be breaking stories. And although he's not saying, look, it's going to be Qatar, it's going to be, you know, it's going to be Glazers staying. Yes, the Qatar are the favourite, but the Glazers could stay. But at least when he breaks a story, it's something new, and it's more about the bids have gone in. There's another round of bidding, this, that. You know, there are reports that Qatar are going to bid 6 billion. And that came out from that source. Oh, what was that source called? There was a source, and it's like a tier 3 source, but they were the first source to announce that we'd gone to a third round of bidding, and they were correct with that, and that got confirmed. And they said Qatar are going to bid 6 billion or something like that, or like 5.9 billion or something, which if I can find that, I will get into that as well. But I just think that we're all bored of the takeover, let's be honest. I'm bored of talking about it. You know, there's a story here, there's a story there. And the annoying thing is, you know, I want to talk about the transfer news, but I'm not, because we haven't got the takeover sorted, because our transfer window could be in trouble because of the Glazers taking so much time with this takeover. You know, I can't even talk about transfer news with some real enjoyment. You know, I can't talk about Man United with some real enjoyment because I'm just thinking about everyone that's injured. I could talk about some enjoyment the other day, though, because we did play fantastic at Forest. But, like, you know, players injured, takeover delay. It's like the Young Saga 2.0, transfer this, transfer that. There's nothing like, oh, wow, like, we can talk about United doing this, this, and that, because the Glazers have just sucked. And I feel like the Glazers, they just suck all the fun out of news, rumours, stories, transfer this, transfer that. They really do, don't they? But I do want to get into the news. I do want to dive into news because there is some news on my screen, as I'm sure that you guys will see. Obviously, on my screen, it says Sheikh Jassim, the Qatari banker who wants to acquire all of United via his 92 Foundation, believes his offer will be accepted. So the big thing that came out today is Sheikh Jassim believes his offer will be accepted. It was also said by Jamie Jackson, although I talk about journalists being a bit repetitive and all of that, Jamie Jackson, in the first place, is normally a decent source of information. Well, it doesn't want to load. It does not want to load. You want to load? You want to load? It was also said Sheikh Jassim's Al-Thani's bid remains confident he will succeed with his bid to buy United. He believes his offer will be accepted. It was said about that on Sheikh Jassim. And there was another bit that was said as well, saying that Sheikh Jassim remains confident he will succeed with his bid to buy United after it emerged that the Carlyle Group and the US investment firm want the minority stake, and the Glazers have instructed Rain, the bank handling any sale, to examine the offer. So even though there's news about this Carlyle Group, even though there's news about these other investment groups, Qatar have obviously, or someone around Qatar have briefed the journalists that they don't give a fuck about them. Basically, the Glazers are put, you know, let's be honest, and United Muppeteers really summed it up. They said the Glazers only put out these big stories about a new minority investment firm being interested, or a minority investment this, or a minority investment that, when a round of bidding is due. When the second round of bidding was due, there was loads of stories about the Elliott Group. When the third round of bidding is due, there's loads of stories about the Carlyle Group. And the United Muppeteers perfectly sums up. The Glazers will put out and leak the minority investors for Rain to leak to journalists to put out and say that they want it as soon as they know they're about to get an offer from Qatar or Sir Jim, to try and put that offer upwards. Because let's be honest, if they were as happy as they're making out of all these minority investments, why have they accepted them? Why have they gone to a third round of bidding? Why did they extend the deadline for Qatar and Sir Jim that couldn't get their bids in time? Why have they instructed the Rain Group to prioritise full sale moves? You know, you've got to look at all those factors. They want the full sale, but they want to rinse Qatar. They want to get as much money as they can because they're greedy. They do not care if it compromises our plans, our transfer window, or Erik ten Hag. They are playing a game. I tell you this now. And they'll do all these leaks, this and that, to get as much money as possible. And this is the annoying thing, because we're going to have one source saying this, one source saying that, one source saying this, one source saying that, for the next week until those second bids go in. I think next week it will be a lot nicer to talk about. And it's just going to be this, that, this, that, this, that, this, that. And it's going to be really infuriating because, you know, it's just like, stop this. It's because it's all stems from the Glazers. Man United in the transfer window, in the takeover. You know, we are, obviously people are going to write stories about United because we get more clicks and more journalists are going to probably make stuff up, or, you know, but Manchester United constantly brief this, that, this, that, this, that. They tell us one thing then another, one thing then another. They tell us what in the media sometimes, because the Glazers have got a lot of puppets in the media, what they want us to hear. They play games with us, you know. As soon as we lose a game, they put all they get all their journalists to put out, we're going to sign this and this player in the summer. It's all a PR spin. It's all games, you know, and that's the frustrating thing with with the Glazers and the media. They're just full of absolute games. Just going to scroll down to the bottom of the chat because I am really behind on the live chat. Big it up, everybody in the chat. Paul says, don't forget to smash the like button as well. Am I hungover? I mean, a little bit, but not super hungover. I did start drinking at like 12 and finished drinking about 5 p.m. But it was more of a day drinking thing. But I feel all right, to be honest. I've had to do about 6 hours of uni work. So if I'm hungover from uni work. But as said, just hit the like button. Qatar in, smash the like if you want Qatar in. And every season Kane gets linked to a move away, and every season he wears a Spurs jersey. True. But I do think this season could be different. And the reason I think this could be different is purely for the fact that not Maguire. Why was I going to say bloody Maguire? Purely for the fact that Harry Kane has 1 year left on his contract, and I don't think Daniel Levy could even contemplate letting him go for free. I think Daniel Levy would just absolutely lose his mind at Kane going for free. But if Man United don't give Daniel Levy enough money, he's not going to let Kane go anyway. So, you know what's annoying is United want Kane. I think Kane was open to the move. Reportedly, he's turned down Bayern Munich and that. Kane is Ten Hag's number one transfer target, whether you like it or not. Ten Hag prefers Kane to Ostenham or Carlo Ramos, whether you like it or not. That is the truth. That is what we know. 1 second. Have I got missed call? Don't know. Just got 2 missed calls. Hopefully not important. But I think Kane is going to be the De Jong saga. I think once this takeover is done, we'll probably sign a midfielder like Mac Allister. We'll probably go for someone like Frimpong. And I think Harry Kane is going to be that freaking De Jong saga that gets dragged on the whole window, maybe. Because even if the Glazers aren't here, Daniel freaking Levy, don't do business with Spurs. It's going to be, now we need 150 million for someone that's 30 with 1 year left on his contract and an injury record. Or piss off. That will be Tottenham Hotspur. And it will be absolutely infuriating because I tell you this now, Harry Kane is a fantastic player. And Harry Kane is that Robin van Persie type signing. He comes in, like Casemiro came in, age 30, 60 million. Some people said we overpaid for Casemiro, but like Casemiro's come in and made a massive impact to that midfield. Only got a couple of years left in him, but he's coming in massive impact into that midfield. Kane is like Robin van Persie. He will do the same. But because Kane is 30, because he's got 1 year left on his contract, because of this and that, he's not worth 100 million. He's not worth, 80 odd million. If you get Kane for 60 million, like you got Casemiro for 60 million, bish, bash, bosh. But if you're paying over 100 million for Kane, which is what Tottenham Hotspur want, it's craziness. And he is a top player. I do think he has that Robin van Persie impact, but it just criminal how much money they want for Kane as well. Transfer stories that only half trust right now is the current United setup leaking these journos still spinning for the club. Yeah, I mean, honestly, there's so many stories going about. The only stories I believe is that United want Kane, United want a midfielder, United want Frimpong. The Qatar are confident, but that's the only stories I really believe at the moment because there's a lot of crap as well. There's a lot of journalists trying to sell papers, making up crap about United as well. There is probably 2 other bidders for the full sale that will come out before the sale conclude a guarantee. I'm pretty sure it's just Qatar and Sergio Ratcliffe. You might be right, though. And the reason I think that it's just Qatar, or Sheikh Jassim, I should say, and Sergio Ratcliffe is because, let's be honest, the Glazers are trying to drive up the price, and they know Qatar could pay 6, 7, 8, 9 billion for United. They know Qatar could play a lot of money for United. But Qatar is just going to go, well, if it's just us and Jim Ratcliffe, we're only going to just bid above Jim Ratcliffe. If Jim Ratcliffe's offering 5.2 billion, we offer 5.3 billion instead of paying 700 million more and paying 6 billion when the competition can't match that 6 billion price, and we can go above that competition. Should there have been more bidders, I think that this takeover would have been moving a lot quicker. I actually think the fact that the Glazers delaying the deal and putting out all these minority stories is because they're angry they didn't get the bidding war they wanted for United. They was hoping that there was going to be loads of bidders in to rival Qatar. And whether you like Sergio Ratcliffe or not, he's not a good rival for Qatar because it's why United's got to borrow money from the banks, which puts them in a weaker position, especially because bank repayments, interest rates have gone up, which actually might not mean it's financially good for him to put too much more money into United, and it might not be a good economic investment for him. Obviously, United have already got debt problems as well. You've got Qatar that are really, really strong, but they're really, really strong, and the only competition is Sergio Ratcliffe. So they're only going to just be better than Sergio Ratcliffe because they'll look at the Glazers' financial reports. They'll look at the fact that Glazers was 1 billion in debt. They'll look at the fact that United needs another 2 billion investment on top of their takeover bid and go, why should we give you 6 billion if the second highest bid is 5 billion? We might as well give you 5.1 billion because the Qatar and Sheikh Jassim, they are smart businessmen. they've done well in life, they will look at that and they will go, you know, we're not stupid. If we massively overpay for United, other people are going to think we're going to massively overpay for things. That ruins our business stance. But Qatar will also go ahead and look at things and be like, I'm not going to give the Glazers this amount of money when everything hints to the Glazers want to sell. The Glazers will put out this and that they want to stay and they're looking for a minority investment. But remember that source that came out, inside source, saying that basically the Glazers have told Qatar that open to the full sale. You know, the fact that Qatar have made a 9-2 foundation, they've been having talks with the Glazer family since October. The Glazers went to the World Cup and reportedly actually linked up with Qatar and have had secret meetings with Qatar. They reportedly haven't had with Jim Ratcliffe. Take that with a pinch of salt. That did come from a tier 3 source. You know, it says to me, you know, Qatar probably know the Glazers are planning on selling. The Qatar probably look at the financials of United. They can't take out dividends. They're making a loss. They can't financially stay here. If they do get investment, it has to go back into the club and not their pockets. The Glazers are greedy. Qatar look at it and they think, well, we've only got to beat Sir Jim Ratcliffe to get this, because at the end of the day, they do want to sell the club. Now, maybe the Glazers taking their time is because they go, oh, well, Qatar are only going to bid just above Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Maybe if we delay the deal, and that means it's going to compromise Qatar's summer transfer window because they have big plans, maybe Qatar will hurry up and give us the $6 billion we want, so we don't have to delay the deal and get it done. But I don't think this other full sale bid is in, because I think there would have been more of a bidding war. Because I think that's what the Glazers wanted, a bidding war. And I think that the delay and the stories is because they haven't got the bidding war. So I think they're delaying it to scare Qatar or Sir Jim to up in their offer, because saying, look, if you're going to faff about with this is going to ruin your transfer window, because Glazers are selfish, greedy rats like that, and they only care about money. That's what I generally believe. Obviously, I don't know if that's true, but that's my general belief in the situation. As well, big up everybody in the chat as well. We can win trophies next season. Well, we won a trophy this season. I'm sure we can win a trophy next season. To be honest, I can't see the Glazers going anywhere. Can't see the Glazers going. They're so greedy. I mean, surely it'd be greedy. I mean, is it greedy for them to leave though? You know, if they got offered $5 billion in pure profit. But I mean, the thing is, I still think the Glazers will go. But the Glazers is just such narcissists that I wouldn't even be surprised if they tried and pulled something off to stay. But I'm going to get into this in a minute. The stock price went down by like 13% or something. Just rumours of them staying drags the stock price down 13%. Imagine the economic catastrophe if the Glazers do stay. Imagine the reaction. I don't think they can deal with that. I think it will be particularly hard for them to stay. I think the economic crisis it could cause. They can't take out dividends. The debt repayments are so high that they can't make profit on the club. And it will only sink because the fans will be outraged so much. There could be protests. It's going to cause the stock price and share price to go down. And it's likely that the longer the Glazers stay at the helm, the price is going to decrease. And I was laughing at them in my video yesterday. I was absolutely laughing because the Glazers put out this nonsense story yesterday that basically, they believe if they stay at United, the club's going to be worth 10 billion in a few years, not 6 billion, la-di-la-di-la. And I'm thinking, well, it's not, because we know how the Glazers run the club. We know how the Glazers neglect the club. Man United could, Man United could be worth 10 billion now and not 6 billion had the Glazers not been in charge. Because had, we continued the heights when Sir Alex Ferguson left, the Glazers weren't here. We had proper owners that invested when Sir Alex Ferguson left. And at least, even if we did bring in Moyes, they backed Moyes. And if we did replace Moyes, they brought in a better manager that they would continually back. They would have hired a good director of football. They would have hired good scouts. They would have built a team. They would have copied the Manchester City kind of triangle. And, I generally believe if Manchester United had those kind of people employed, they would be continuing success on the pitch. So post for Alex Ferguson those last 10 years, maybe got 3 or 4 titles, hopefully stop Liverpool winning their title, maybe a Champions League pool, and that the stadium would be new and updated. There wouldn't be leaks. The training ground would be nice, bish, bash, bosh. Maybe United would be worth 10 billion. It could be worth 10 billion, not right now, if the Glazers didn't stay. 100 million%. Because they reduced the value of the club by neglecting the stadium by about 2 billion, I generally believe. But neglecting the squad, the lack of trophies reduces the value of the club. The less and less successful we are and more successful other teams are, more likely new young fans that don't support a team will be attracted to other teams. We make the money through fans. They are killing the club. The Glazers are killing the club. Like they were saying something about, if we stay, it could be worth 10 billion. That's the most biggest nonsense I've ever heard. And I laughed at it, and I was really drunk when I read that story yesterday. And I thought, these guys are deluded. These guys are deluded. It's like me saying I look like Kylie Jenner. I don't look like Kylie Jenner. I never will. So I don't know why the Glazers think that Man United's going to be worth 10 billion in a few years under their ownership when they are awful businessmen. They are absolutely awful businessmen. There are many people. There's people I'd rather employ someone from Love Island than the Glazers to run a business for me. okay? Even though the Glazers are businessmen with this experience, because they're fools. They're greedy. They have no interest in football, but they're even failure as businessmen. So it did make me laugh at stories that the Glazers are going to stay, because I just think it's just so much crap. Look, the Glazers could stay. You don't put it past them. They're narcissists. But it'd be stupid for them, because they risk financially. They might make a big fat loss, whereas they could have just got a big fat 5-6 billion win if they upset Qatar. I just think the Glazers are freaking stupid as well. I hope the stock price crashes. I mean, if it's already down 13%, it says what it is as well. Glazers are completely deluded to think the club will be worth any more than it is now under them. If they stay, it could decrease further, 100% as well. Alice, do a poll if you're better than that Jenna woman for a laugh. Well, let's be honest. And I was just missed a few chats. I would take Kane for 60 million. He's Man United as much as Man United need him. He should be pushing for a move himself, be getting his price down. He's more likely to win the trophy at United than Spurs. I don't know if we get. I think 60 million for Kane is a good deal, but I feel like it's a good deal. Levy doesn't do good deals, especially to Premier League rivals as well. Seeing these investment groups are with the football though. Not going to lie though, I don't follow Real Madrid or San Antonio Spurs. The thing is, also as an investment group, if I was a massive investment group, would I invest in Man United if it meant the Glazers stayed? No. Obviously, I'm a Manchester United fan, but even if I wasn't a Man United fan and had no loyalty to the club, I don't think it's even a smart investment to just give money to the Glazers when all they've done, any money that we've got. And bear in mind, we actually spent between 2012 and 2022 in January, we spent more money net spend than any other club in Europe, I think, bar PSG. Or we spent more money than anyone else, but we've been nowhere near the second club, best club in Europe all that time. So even when United have spent money, they've pissed it up the walls. So if you're a smart businessman, I think, why would you trust the Glazers with any of your money? Now, here's an interesting concept I do want to take in mind, and it's that classic, United reminding us this. It was said Manchester United's priority in the summer is to strengthen their attack. The club needs to secure Champions League football and sell to make sure they don't fall foul under FFP. There is feeling that United could fall foul under FFP, etc., etc. Because you know what? They're not generating the money they used to generate because the Glazers have let the club rot, which means the Glazers are making less money, which means more reason for the Glazers to go. You don't make money. Your club is starting to rot. You've neglected the club so much. Go, leave. Now, I still think we've got quite a bit of room to spend. If anything, Man City and Chelsea should be being watched with FFP, not Manchester United. But it's just one of those stories that comes in and out as well. Gehan says the Glazers are deluded, greedy fools. They can't stay. They will drag the club down with debt. How do they figure the club will be worth more if they stay? They don't understand fans of football. Spot on. Alex said I wouldn't invest in football, period. It's not a money-making endeavour anymore. Competing at the top, most clubs have huge debt and break as well. Yeah, 100%. I wouldn't invest in it either. I don't think it's particularly smart as well. We can't let Liverpool get Gravenberch. It sounds like they might not now, but we need to get him if Bayern sell him. I mean, there's talks that Bayern might keep him and he's happy at Bayern, but if Bayern do sell him, I do think it's one for Man United to keep a lookout for, and we will talk about Gravenberch. I'll actually get the Mac Allister news up now, actually. Mac, I always spell his name wrong for some reason. I'll get the Mac Allister news now. I actually got it in my notes, but I can't be able to copy and paste it over. But I know it came out like a couple of hours ago. So, yeah. So there were sources today saying that Manchester United and Liverpool are pushing the most to sign Alexis Mac Allister. So it's obvious that I will go back to the takeover in a minute, but I'm just want to cover the transfers. It's obvious that Manchester United are interested in signing a midfielder. If we want a striker, we want the midfielder, we want the defender. It's very obvious. First choice is striker. Second choice is a number 8 to play next to Casemiro. Third choice is a defensive reinforcement. That's probably a right back. However, I think if Maguire Lindelof goes, that third choice will be a centre back. Fourth choice, I'm not sure who that is. It could potentially be a goalkeeper. We have been linked to goalkeepers. Hopefully, a Casemiro understudy. I still think that Moises Caicedo would be just such an underrated signing for United because he could be Casemiro backup, but play next to Casemiro. I actually personally myself, as good as Mac Allister's been, I do think that Moises Caicedo could cover more bases at United and is a little bit younger stuff. But obviously, Liverpool can't get Bellingham. Liverpool are looking at the same people as United. Ryan Gravenberch and Alexis Mac Allister because they're going to be cheaper options in midfield, and Liverpool don't have a lot of money. And then, funny enough, that's what Klopp has been complaining about on the Liverpool front as well. Going back into Mac Allister news, there's been quite a few stories about Mac Allister to United, lately as well. We've got multiple sources saying, Man United and Liverpool are pushing the most for Mac Allister. United and Liverpool are favourites for Mac Allister. We've got multiple sources saying this as well. And I mean, the other day we had, if I can find it here, we had even Fabrizio Romano saying that United and Liverpool will soon speak to Mac Allister. When Romano's saying that United and Liverpool going to speak to Mac Allister, that something's going on. And Alexis Mac Allister's camp are considering a summer move and hopes for an early transfer. United and Liverpool speak to him as well, said Romano. It's very much looking like Brighton will sell Mac Allister. Mac Allister wants to go. La-di-la-di-la-di-la-di-la. It was also said today by Sky Sports, just to give us a note on that United are unlikely to get a bidding war for Jude Bellingham as well, which might hence and explain why the Mac Allister news is heating up. But the only thing about this is Liverpool and United want Mac Allister. Liverpool and United want a Gakpo. Gakpo wanted United more than Liverpool. Gakpo agreed to join United, but United were going to faff around and say, Gakpo, wait till the summer. Gakpo wanted to get his move, went to Liverpool. Yeah? You see the thing here with Mac Allister? We've got a takeover to sort before we can do transfer business. So Mac Allister might go, yeah, I want United, you're my first choice. But then he's been sitting there for a month. Where's my move to United? I'm getting worried. This takeover isn't sorted. Liverpool give him a good offer. Don't want to wait anymore. I want to go on pre-season. I want to get settled in my new club. Liverpool's just as good an option to me as Manchester United because I don't have a loyalty to either one of those clubs. They're two good clubs. I'll go to Liverpool. La-di-la-di-la. That is the problem with Mac Allister. That could happen. United and Liverpool want him. I think United are turning away from Bellingham and looking at Mac Allister because Bellingham price tag is a freaking joke. But, I think that United's more appealing than Liverpool at the moment. Tenag's project's more appealing. If we get new owners in, it makes us 10 times more appealing with a bigger club. And obviously, we're more likely to get top four than them. Even though they won, they're still in eighth. Pipe down, Liverpool fans. I do think that, we are the more appealing. But again, I think, it could be delayed, etc., etc., etc. Can't see us signing Gavin Birch, given how we're interested in bringing some bits. I mean, I think we'd like both, but I do think you only get one or the other as well. Mac Allister's a quality footballer, but not the end of the world if we don't sign him. I agree. I like him. Would I be happy if we signed him? Yes. Will he improve us? Yes. Do I rate him? Yes. But there's for me, there's players I like more. He's not someone I don't want us to sign, but he's not someone I'm like, yeah, sign him. Like he's perfect. He's not someone that I think, there's other options out there. He's not someone that's an irreplaceable signing as well. Liverpool are like flies round a shite or like a friend who's always looking to copy the swag. I mean, Liverpool at the moment just seems to be copying United's targets, but Chelsea are the worst. Since Liverpool got rid of Michael Edwards, if United think to a player, Liverpool are, but Chelsea are the worst. I don't think Chelsea have a chance for pound. I think Todd Boehly is who other clubs want to buy and then goes and buys them. But he's got no clear strategy, and that's obvious. So Chelsea have all these players they've brought on all these long contracts, but half those players are shit. So you've just spent a load of money, Todd Boehly, on a load of players on really long contracts, and half of them aren't particularly good as well. Mac Allister can also play number 6 position. We could have 2 number 6s like Eric Ten Hag did at Ajax. I mean, he can, but he's more of an 8. He's like Bruno in the sense that he's versatile across the midfield, but there's better efficiency for the deeper position as well. And Mac Allister said he wants Thursday night football in Serbia over Champions League with United. I mean, that's what happens when you go to Liverpool. I want to laugh at something. So I see Liverpool fans gassing over their 6-1 victory to Leeds. They might as well get a 6-1 cup now. They've had the 7-up trophy. They can get a 6-1 cup up. And the same with back. Like Liverpool are back. La-di-la-di-la. You beat Man United 7-0. You said you were back. You then lost 2 games. You beat, was it Bournemouth 9-0? You said you were back. Then you lost about 2 games. You beat Leeds 6-1. Watch Liverpool lose the next game. They win 6-1 and it's mad. It's mad. I was looking at Liverpool and I was like, look, you drew to Arsenal. You beat Leeds 6-1. I honestly, I know Forest are crap and we've absolutely dented them. I see Liverpool losing to Forest. I mean, to be fair, look, Forest, West Ham, they should win. Tottenham will give them a difficult game, but I think they'll win because they're at home. Fulham will give them a difficult game, but I think they'll win. Brentford will give them a difficult game. Leicester will be a win. Villa, I think, will beat them, and Southampton will be a win. They do have a relatively easy fixtures for the end of the season. I'll give Liverpool that. But they're 1-6-1. We saw them win 7-0, then lose 1-0, lose 1-0, lose 1-0, 1-0, 4-1. They lost 3 games in a row after 1-7-0. These Liverpool fans saying they're back and gassing. If you've got to wait a few games, you beat Rangers 7-1, and you still crap. You beat Bournemouth 9-0, you're still crap. You're saying you're back, but you're still 8th. I was just sitting there laughing. I was like, Liverpool are telling me they're back. They're 12 points behind Manchester United with 8 games to go, which would mean for Liverpool to finish above Manchester United in 3rd, we'd have to lose 5 games and they'd have to win every single game. Maybe if Liverpool win every single game between now and the rest of the season, they can get top 4 because they can get to 50 points. And if they win their game in hand over Spurs, they would be equal. If they win their game with Spurs, they would be equal in points with Spurs. you know, with the same amount of games played. But, you know, they've got to rely on Newcastle dropping points. And I saw all these Liverpool fans just gassing up that 6-1 win. I think, well, you're still in 8th. We're back. You're still in 8th. You drew the last 2 games and you lost the 2 games before that. 1 win, yes, it's a good win. Yes, it plays well. Don't mean you're back. Because I tell you what, since we've lost 7-0, we've been the better team out of you two, and we've got about 55 billion injuries. However, said that the Premier League is looking tasty in the sense of we've got things to do. Big win over Forest, especially because rivals drop points. I was having a look at these games, kind of digesting these games. I actually think United will beat Sevilla because they're crap, despite no Bruno Martins or Varane. Chelsea are crap. Brighton will be difficult. I wouldn't be shocked if we dropped out the FA Cup, I'll be honest. Tottenham, I think, will put everything into that and win that. I think Tottenham are bottle jobs. Villa, I think, is a difficult game because we're at home. I think we'll get a result. Brighton away, I think we'll drop points. I could see us losing Brighton away. West Ham, I think, will win. Wolves, I think, will win. Bournemouth away, I know they're fighting for their lives, but I fancy us getting a result. And Fulham at home, Fulham have nothing to play for. We might have something to play for. That could be the win for top 4. I do think that United, as many fixtures they've got left, as many injuries as they have, I do think that United can go on a decent run towards the end of the season. Just catching up on the chat. Let's get Ndidi, Caicedo, Frankie de Jong, maybe Bellingham or Maddison. I mean, I get Caicedo and Frankie de Jong, but I'm Maddison's all right backup for Bruno, but they're not quite the ideal profile in my opinion, but all solid players, of course. We need to look for wide players. We need to stop going for predictable signings like Kane. We need to focus on youth and up-and-coming players. I mean, I think Kane would be a good signing because I do think Manchester United want an established striker, but I do like the idea of Gonzalo Ramos because he's good, he's semi-established, even though he's not, you know, super established, and he's there for the longevity. Now, talking of young players, though, if I can find the story, I tell you who Man United are looking for: someone that can play centre forward, someone that can play right wing, Amad Diallo, who potentially, you know, could be taking Sancho's spot. He's obviously been doing a fantastic job at Sunderland, and it was said just in Eric Ten Hag is open to including Amad Diallo in the Manchester United squad for next season as he approaches the end of his loan. So it was actually said out here, you know, Amad Diallo, you know, he could be involved next season at United. He's been playing centre forward, he's been playing striker, he's been playing a wide range of positions as well. Rather Liverpool get Europa next year than no Europe at all. It's the misery of dealing with those Thursdays, says Alex. Well, I want Liverpool to get Europa, so they have to play on the Thursdays. So they take up more time in their fixture list, so they do worse in the Premier League as well. I think sometimes when a team doesn't have Europe, they've only got the Prem to focus on. They could have a better season the following season as well. And greedy Glazers want over 6 billion. The Glazers are greedy. Sky is blue. The comment from Alice about Sevilla is probably the reason United will lose. They are even more dominant in the Europa League than Real Madrid and Champions League. Do not forget, yes, Sevilla are dominant in the Europa League, but let's be honest, we're missing players. Going away from home is going to be difficult. But when we played Sevilla, they were crap. We gifted them 2 goals. We could have had that game 4-0 sealed by half time, and our subs fucked it, and we gifted them those goals. That's the thing. I generally think we're a much better team than Sevilla, but yeah. Ostenham or Vlahovic, Alice Ostenham for me as well. And Amad has been playing on the right for Sunderland recently. He has played centre forward a bit. I mean, Amad Diallo has been brilliant. I've watched a few Sunderland games. He's really impressed me. Then I've seen, obviously, you know, highlights, his goals, his patterns of play, his movements. He's looking like a tidy player, and Sunderland really rate him as well. With 12 goals, 3 assists, 13 goal contributions in 15 starts. Sorry, 15 goal contributions in 30 starts this season. So goal contribution every start. He's played 7 games this season at centre forward, 2 games as second striker, 7 games as attacking midfield, although that's mainly been on the bench. But as you can see, 13 of his games have been on the right hand side, and the majority played on the right hand side. But as you can see here, he played centre forward for Sunderland when they played Reading. He played centre forward for Sunderland in the opening few games. Then when he switched to the right wing, he scored. Then he played another game centre forward, scored. Then when he was playing 3 games in a row as a right winger, scored in every one. Attacking mid, scored. Right wing, scored. You can see that he gets goals more when he's a right winger as well. And lately, and he's been in better form lately. He has been playing as a right winger a lot more as well. As you can see his statistics here, when he plays right wing, he's got 6 goals and 2 assists. You know, not been doing as well as a centre forward or second striker, but it does just highlight Amad Diallo's versatility as well. Has to be a balance with the profile of signings. Can't all be development signings part of our squad, not getting any younger. True. You know, I like the idea of signing young players, but you need a spine. You need your Lissandro Martins, Varane, Casemiro spine. You want your established striker. I think you can go for a young player when it comes to like a right back. I think you can go for a young player like, you know, Malassia's back up for sure, a development player in there. I think you can go for a young player like Amad on the wing because we've already got Anthony and Rashford as our wingers and Garnacho. I think you can go for a young option on the wing, but I do think, yeah, in terms of a striker, I think we need someone established. I think, DM, you need someone established, you need 2 established centre-backs. If you replace Maguire, you could go for a youngish player, but I would still go with someone who I really think is going to challenge Varane. But I like the idea of young players, and I think wingers, young players, and fullbacks, we could do young players, but I do think the spine and the core of the squad, especially striker, I think we need an experienced one that comes in. No more Weghorst as well. Gravenberch and Tielemans, I think, could be good midfield targets for United. They could be a bargain, but I think we don't decide one or the other because they're similar profiles. But it has to see, because there are reports coming out saying, you know what, Bayern are actually thinking about keeping Gravenberch. Bayern are actually now feeling a bit reluctant to sell Gravenberch. There have been recent developments that Gravenberch could stay at Bayern Munich. So we'll have to wait and see what Manchester United and Bayern Munich do with that as well. But it's very obvious that, I think he's someone that he would be open to going to United if he knows he's not going to get time at Bayern Munich. I want to get back into some more news. I want to get back into some transfer news, some other stories as well. I do want to talk a little bit about Anthony. I want to talk a little bit about transfer news. We've been linked to a Brazilian goalkeeper. However, it's a Brazilian goalkeeper. This is the first time we've been linked to him. So unless we get linked to him again, I'm not really going to get into that story. It's just a 23-year-old Brazilian goalkeeper. I know nothing about him. But I'll see if those links continue. I'll get the takeover news back on. Well, I was going to get the takeover news back on the screen, but it's not wanting to load. Do you want to load? Yeah, I mean, that's the takeover news on the screen for people that have just joined. But I just take a quick swig of water here. Why is our scouting so bad? Do you know what? It's because we haven't employed the best people and we don't have the best people above. Where we are good at scouting is academy. We scouted Alvaro Fernandez, Mark Gerardo, and Garnacho, all in that one academy summer. Medbury, we've scouted a lot of hidden gems to the academy. Charlie McNeil, Joe Hugill, who hopefully come through. Sudan Iqbal. United have done very well at academy scouting and bringing in young hidden gems from Europe. But what United don't do well at first is first team scouting. We seem to buy kind of the obvious signings. We're, under Ollie, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, Dan James. Dan James because Ryan Giggs thought he was good. Wan-Bissaka because he made a load of tackles at Palace and was English, an obvious choice. And then Maguire because he had a good World Cup with England and was an obvious choice. Would there have been better fish in the sea? Probably. You look at Napoli signing Kim Min-jae. That's a less obvious choice. And look how well he's been doing. You look at a lot of the signings that other teams have done. Manchester City went for Rodri, who wasn't that established, but what a good signing that was. Man City went for Diaz, that wasn't established, what a good signing that was. And then United go for Maguire. I think this season it's improved. I think Lisandro Martinez was a very good signing, but obviously Ten Hag knew him. I think Malacia was a good underrated signing that I don't think we'd have looked at without Ten Hag. That's really given Shaw some good competition. I think that Anthony is showing to be a good signing despite not being worth 80 million. But again, that's a Ten Hag signing, not because of our scouting. I think the only player we signed off scouting is probably Casemiro. I think all the others were people that Ten Hag told them to sign. And I guess brilliant as Casemiro has been, I guess you can say it's an obvious option. And our scouting only do obvious options, which seems to be the case. It's not been like a hidden gem that United have kind of got. Eriksen and Casemiro were probably obvious. And, Ten Hag suggested Eriksen because he worked with him in the summer. So I guess, in terms of United scouting, relying heavily on Ten Hag's judgment, which I trust, but Ten Hag's not a director of football. If you look at Brighton, if you look at other clubs, they seem to be a little bit smart with the players they bring in. Obviously, the most important thing is to bring in the players that Ten Hag wants. But I think, further scouting needs to be done to make sure we get that profile, because reportedly Ten Hag's dream signing is Bellingham. I don't think Bellingham is the profile of midfielder that we personally need, in my opinion. I think, Frankie de Jong is the dream, but yeah, that's not going to happen. I think there's other footballers that suit that profile more, like Enzo, Theo, Max and Kakare. And again, I'm not a scout, but I also think we should look at sending scouts to South America, how Man City picked up Julian Alvarez and how Benfica picked up Enzo Fernandez. Ralf Rangnick went to United. Enzo Fernandez and Julian Alvarez. Enzo Fernandez 12 million. Julian Alvarez is 15 million. That's 27 million on Enzo Fernandez and Julian Alvarez in that January when we needed a striker and a midfielder. And we need a striker midfielder now. Imagine we had Enzo Fernandez in the team to play next to Casemiro and Julian Alvarez as our backup and not Weghorst. We'd probably be 10 points higher in the league. I'm not even lying. But imagine if we had signed them in that January for 27 million under Rangnick, how much further along United could be. And I think that's the thing that frustrates me, is like those little hidden gems. The Glazers took 30 million out in dividends when they could have took 3 million out in dividends and just given us, Enzo Fernandez and Julian Alvarez, which would have been lovely. They would have been great additions, and he went to City and all of that. But what United need to do is look at the Brazilian league, look at the Argentinian league, look at the South American leagues. You missed out on Moises Caicedo, Julian Alvarez, and Enzo Fernandez, who we've suggested, and the scouts have gone now, or the Glazers have gone now. And I think at the end of the day, the Glazers do stop the scouts from doing the job to the best, because they might scout someone who ends up being really good, and we don't sign them because we don't spend money. But I do think United need to look at Carlos Varela, a Casemiro understudy in one of the Argentinian or Brazilian leagues, someone to bring through. I think we need to bring through a Casemiro understudy. And I think if we do sign Harry Kane, we need to bring through a striker understudy. I think we need a big fat striker. I think we need a big fat midfielder, but I think we need a Casemiro understudy and a striker understudy as well to look at as well. And I think that's when you want to do what Benfica and Brighton do and go and scout in South America and find those hidden gems as well. Ralph's recommendations were fantastic. Pretty much all of them ended up at big clubs doing well or will be soon. And that's the annoying thing. It's like Ralph recommended these players, and when we signed Ralph Rangnick, we were happy. I know it didn't go to plan, but we were happy when we were appointing Ralph Rangnick and we were hearing that he's going to stay in a technical role, because we had his live stream and we were listening through all the brilliant players that Ralph Rangnick had signed, all the brilliant people he scouted while working for other clubs. And I'm thinking, well, if you're United, take advantage of this man. He's got reputation for finding these hidden gems, finding these ballers, and United ignored that. And everyone that he suggested to us is a baller. United ignored every single suggestion that he gave, and that really infuriated me, because I was like, Ralph Rangnick is this clever man. You've seen his list of he's basically got 90% hits on all his signings. It was 12 million on Enzo Fernandez, it's barely a risk. 17 million on Julian Alvarez, it's barely a risk. You see him go to City, you see one at Chelsea now, you see one at our rivals, but you could have got the cheap. And all you had to do is listen to Ralph Rangnick. And if you look at Ralph Rangnick's track record, why wouldn't you listen to Ralph Rangnick? And I sit down, I look at the Glazers, and I look at the board, and I go, you idiots. We had a golden opportunity to do something. You idiots. Scouts are useless in our club because the Glazers don't listen to them. And that's probably the main point. Are we getting Goncalo Ramos? I generally believe if Daniel Levy's difficult with Kane, we'll go sign Goncalo Ramos. However, reportedly, Kane has said no to Bayern Munich, so I wouldn't be shocked if Bayern Munich went and signed Goncalo Ramos. I think Osimhen's too out of their price tag. Vlahovic, I could see Bayern Munich go in for, even though he's been out of form. I think Goncalo Ramos is probably the realistic option because he's cheaper than Osimhen, he's younger, and Ten Hag wanted him in January if we don't get Kane. Ten Hag wants Kane, Ten Hag will go all out for Kane. It will depend on Daniel Levy, and I think Goncalo Ramos and Osimhen are the two backups, and I think Goncalo Ramos is more likely than Osimhen because he's cheaper, and I think Chelsea will go all out for Osimhen. I don't think Osimhen will be stupid enough to go to Chelsea. The club is a mess, but you never know as well. With Qatari owners, PSG finished second in League One after Lille with a transfer budget of 10 million that season. Yeah, I mean, look, PSG aren't a well-run club. I'm not saying Qatari owners could have come in and solved our problems, but if we're a functioning club right now that's probably going to get third place and win a trophy under the Glazers, imagine where we'd be with actual owners that are better than the Glazers, and Qatar are better than the Glazers. I mean, Sergio Magna's better than the Glazers, but Qatar are another level better than the Glazers. We're actually going to have that freedom to spend and maybe employ proper people. I'm not saying Qatar could be like Todd Bowie. They could spend a load of money and it's a big fat mess. PSG is an unorganised club. But would you rather have owners with ambition that are trying to do their best than owners are doing nothing and letting the club fail? Because we'll still be better with new owners, whether it's Qatar or not. I'm not saying that it'll be perfect, but we'll still be better. People are saying Sancho and Antony are flops, but we will see the true Antony and Sancho when they get the ball carrying midfielder and top striker and flying fullbacks. Hopefully, we're starting to see it in Antony. We see moments of it in Sancho. Sancho had 2 good games. He's had 2 Ishii games to me where he's not done enough. But I generally believe, especially with Antony, we're starting to see it. I think next season we'll start to see it as well when the fullbacks overlap. He's been really good lately, Antony. But I think with Sancho, I hope we see it. We see glimpses of it. I know Sancho has it in his locker, but I think Sancho's got to step up and work a bit harder. But I do agree. I think Sancho and Antony, are not flops, especially Antony. He's not even been here a season. Yes, we overpay for him, but 100%. I think Sancho is heading towards being a flop. And next season is Sancho's final season when you go. If he's not working out next season, he's got to go. But I still believe there's a good player in Sancho. I just personally want to see it more. Guys, please do smash that like button. And, of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Alex says, seems odd that Eric Ten Hag prefers Kane, top quality, but Eric Ten Hag been known for building long term. Yeah, true. I think he just probably sees that he needs a striker for now, and I think he likes the Kane profile. And I also think that because Kane's obvious, because he's British, because United have been heavily linked to Kane before, he's probably the striker that United are telling him to get. Let's be honest, I wouldn't be completely shocked by that either. Guys, I am probably going to wrap up the live stream here. So please do smash that like button. I know it's about 10 minutes shorter than usual, but I've just got a super, super busy day. So please do smash that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new to Alice Talks Football. Share the video on that. I will be back tomorrow morning with a morning video. I mean, let me just check there's no more news before I actually end the live stream, because that would be really silly. Like a news story is just broken now or something. It's Donny's birthday. That's a cute cake. Any news? Chelsea news? Chelsea are playing tonight. What's the Chelsea score? Is it like 3-0, 2-0? There's no news really coming out today as well, just Man United FFP stuff. So yeah, I'm probably going to wrap up the live stream here. So please do smash that like button, subscribe down below if you're new, and I'll see you next time. Bye.